is that really the number one thing we're going to get evaluated on is our teaching. And for a lot of us in the applied disciplines, those of us who have a D or some other kind of higher doctoral degree that's not PhD, we may be trying to explain the way that we do research. And particularly if our primary job is teaching, there are people who want to study, are we doing a good job of teaching? Historically, this has been less valued research and sometimes even questioned as not even research, which is why Boyer is so refreshing, because he says, yes, discovery is one type of research, but it's not the only type of research. So what is educational research? It can have a hypothesis or not, and you can be qualitative, quantitative, observational versus controlled, things that we've already talked about and will a little bit more. If it involves human subjects, then it might have an IRB component, although most educational research is considered exempt, although it will still require a consent form, or simply the easy way, if you're doing a survey or something, it's you're turning this back in implies your consent. So it can be implied consent. It can involve data collection, analysis, and then dissemination. So as long as it has the basic elements of where you're studying something, some phenomenon, then it should count as research and as scholarship. Research versus evaluation. What do they have in common? So what are some ideas? What do they have in common?
They're answering a question.
That's great. That's
Data
great.
collection.
Data collection.
Analysis of data.
Yes. And I know Pat was just talking about the fact that you're funded to do evaluation. So it can be something that is desired by a funding agency.
I'm also funded to teach evaluation.
All right.
So HRSA likes that.
And that's HRSA.
Yeah.
Very good. And then how do research and evaluation differ? The publishing? Intent to publish? Yeah. Yeah, because probably research is that is the end product, whereas I think evaluation may or may not be published. I think the end product is probably more useful to the people being evaluated. Any other ways that they might differ?
With research, we try to change a standard of practice or care or teaching, something like that. Whereas with evaluation, we're looking to improve something as opposed to changing the set point.
Yeah. Yes.
We say that in research, we try to find the gaps, whereas in evaluation, we try to, existing methods, we look at the existing methods and see how they work and they don't work. So we say
That's another very good point. I'd never thought of that research looks at the gaps.
Process evaluation looks at gaps also.
Okay. Okay.
So if I find gaps in a program that I'm evaluating, then it's a way to identify an area to shore up, get funded.
All right, good.
And all evaluation is not research, but it
True.
can be. Evaluation can be research.
Uh-huh.
You can do it in such a way.
If you do the steps that
Right. If you do it in a robust manner that's methodological, that meets all of Glassik's criteria, then it can be research, but it doesn't have to be.
Yes. That's a good point. Okay. The rewards are that if your primary core function of your job is to teach, it can help you measure your core function. Are you conveying what it is that you intend to convey? It can improve teaching methods. When Dave was talking about University of St. Louis not having a Center for Faculty Development, I was a little stunned, and I'm very glad to hear that they've got one. But that is sort of the essence of what the Faculty Development Centers do, is that they use evidence to help us improve our teaching methods. And personal and professional growth generate data for presentations, publications, promotion, and/or tenure. And in my particular job, which is a comprehensive university, not a research university, I am very focused on helping describe the value of the scholarship of education to my colleagues and peers in the university, because that is our core mission. The challenges are that some institutions, particularly R1 institutions, may have the knowledge or the scholarship of discovery as the gold standard, and that anybody who's doing other kinds of scholarship may be considered, you have to work harder at it or be more convincing that it is in fact scholarship. A lack of time, and that is so true when we're looking at, are we effective in our teaching? Sometimes it's just like, I get a student opinion survey at the end of the semester, and that's all I need. I don't need to find out any deeper than that. And then there's definitely lack of money and resources for conducting those kinds of studies. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about case studies and educational research. If you have a problem or a question, what do we want to know? What are we seeking to determine? A hypothesis or the best estimate of what we're going to find. Resources, research methods. I'm going to pass out a case study. And Candace, I have to laugh because this classifies as a minor peer-reviewed journal where it may not get out to the broader public, but I'm on the editorial board of the Journal of Child and Adolescent Psychiatric Nursing. And I want to tell you that this particular journal is it's highly regarded. It may have a small readership, but it is in most libraries. And this is very hospitable to the kind of work that we do, okay? And we're always looking for contributing authors, and we do very few rejections. We do lots of revisions, and all of us on the editorial board consider ourselves mentors of our people who are going to publish in this journal. So I want all of you to think about, especially for the promotion and tenure thing, think about submitting your work. And here's an example of a case study of an adolescent who engages in self-injurious behavior. This is very timely if you've seen Black Swan. This is hitting people's radar screen at this point, but it just goes to show that with a single subject that you can get something disseminated out to your peers. And when I see these types of articles submitted by faculty for promotion and tenure, I talk about the labor intensiveness of it, the literature review, the fact that you have to go through institutional review board, which is time consuming, and I place a value on that for my other peers. Sometimes you're going to do a case study that it involves more than just one subject. It can be several cases. You're looking for themes. You're doing something more qualitative. And you would definitely want to have a team. And again, you need to go through institutional review board if it involves any kind of human subjects. And then analyze the data that you collect. There are wonderful software programs that can help with qualitative data collection. And then publish your results. Now, I did a quick little Google search in preparation for our meeting on, what were my keywords? My keywords were education, health, and violence, because I wanted to see what is the literature right now on the education or the studying the education of violence in healthcare curricula. And I came up with these were sort of the most salient of the first PubMed things that came up. And you'll notice that you can get your stuff in an abstract, this is a translational one because this came out of UK and Ireland, although there's some not typos, the spontaneously identified biopsychosocial issues, e.g. family violence. But this is a study that was published in Medical Education on teaching medical students. Then the next one is in the Journal of Women's Health, and this is a statistical analysis. This was a chi-square test looking at internal medicine residents who are not adequately prepared to provide comprehensive primary care to women, including the fact that they're not adequately versed in assessing violence, along with other things. And then the last one is in the Journal of Medical Education again, and that is where they had settings where they evaluated, they did little scenarios where medical students and law students had to identify breaches of confidentiality. And so, you know, they got the statistics to get this in a peer-reviewed journal. So I thought that would just be, you know, just examples for those of you that may have access to this kind of data. Yes, you can get that stuff published. And in our university, I would recognize it as scholarship. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Agnes.